Shalom. I'm Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the Web Yeshiva from Efrat, Israel. As we approach Rosh Hashona, it's a little over a week away, I was thinking about something that seems to always come up, especially at Rosh Hashona, but also at other times during the year. And what I'm talking about is the question of bringing infants and young children to the synagogue, bringing them to shul, and the question about whether or not they are mafriya, they are disturbing not only the parents bringing them, but other people in the shul. Should that be done? I have some thoughts that I want to share with you. And then at the end, I'm going to tie it into this week's Torah reading, which is Parsha Ki Tovo. This question, well, first, let me preface it by saying that many people in the halachic world say that you shouldn't do it because it is disturbing to other people and for other reasons. But there is an interesting tshuva, a response to a halachic question, which was given by the Rav Menashe Hakaton Klein. He was the Rav from a city called Ungvar, and he was very prolific in his lifetime, which spanned from 1924 when he was born till 2011 when he died. He wrote about 50 different halachic responses, Mishnah Halachos it's called, and he wrote a number of other things. He was a Hasidic Rabbi who was an accepted posek, an accepted person who could interpret Jewish law. And he asked the question in one of his responsa. He says, children that cause a problem in the study hall or in the synagogue, is it proper to bring them? And here's his answer. He brings an answer from the Gemara, from the Talmud in Masechet Chagiga. And Masechet Chagiga talks about the sentence that begins the Parsha, that is in the Parsha of Vayakel, to assemble the Jewish people. And it says, that the pasuk there says, the sentence says, to bring the children. The Gemara asks the question, Lama boim litain schar? I'm sorry. The Gemara asks the question, why are the children brought to the synagogue in this case, in the context of what he's talking about? And the answer is, litain schar l'meviein, to give a reward to those who bring them. Tosfos, one of the great commentaries on the side of the Gemara, looks at that and he says, from here we learn that it is permissible to bring children to the synagogue, little children. Now, obviously, in all of this, we have to bear in mind that when we're bringing children or infants to the synagogue, we should bring the kind of toys that are not going to cause a disturbance. And we should try to, as much as possible, teach them to sit so that they will understand what the synagogue is. They'll grow up with this in their mind. It always bothers me on a personal level when I see adults who see a child running around or dropping a toy or whatever and saying, shh, shh, shushing. Unfortunately, there are many adults who, they shouldn't do it, but they do, talk in shul. And these same people are not shushing them. In fact, they may be some of the speakers who are talking during the services. It bothers me no end. The Rabbi Klein brings the story, a well-known story of Rabbi Yoshua, the great sage Rabbi Yoshua. He said, Ashrei Yeludaso, I'm happy, I'm delighted at the person who bore me. And they explained this, the B'shas Ibura, at the time that his mother was pregnant, she used to bring him into the study hall. I mean, not bring him, he was in the womb. After he was born, after he was born, she would bring him into the Beis Medrash, the Torah, the study hall, the synagogue, so that he would hear words of Torah in his ears immediately. He says this is a great thing to be done to children when they are minors. They should understand the importance of being in a holy place, being in a synagogue. Now, what about the disturbing of the other people? That's where all this comes down to. The Chassam Sofer brings an interesting thing. He says, even Avraham Avinu, our forefather, he wanted to show the children of his generation, the people in his generation, to the importance of being in a holy place. And he would have them with him when he was trying to serve Hashem, even though this caused him great difficulty because he couldn't really concentrate. But he said it's important to bring young children into a holy place. And the important part of this that we learn from Avraham Avinu is that, sure, it's much better to be able to pray with intensity and intent and kavanah, but better than that, better than being disturbed, is the concept of bringing children into shul, just like Avraham Avinu did, just like Rabbi Yoshua's mother did. How does that tie into our Parsha? Our Parsha, towards the beginning of it, says Vanitz. It's talking about it says Vayareu Osano HaMitzrim, the Egyptians. When we were in Egypt, they made our life miserable, and they gave us hard work. And then it says Vanitzak El Hashem Elokei Avosenu, and we cried out. The Jewish people cried out to God. What does that mean? The Meforshim say that when we were in Egypt, we couldn't speak. We lost our ability to cry out, to speak to Hashem. We had no words. So what did we do? We groaned. We cried out to Hashem with our sounds. And Hashem heard these sounds. I always think of when a baby cries in shul, what happens? The father or the mother bends down to pick them up. What are we doing? We are the children of God. When a baby cries, and when we cry in shul, we're supposed to be crying now. This is Rosh Hashona, coming up Rosh Hashona, crying for our year, crying for the world. Just like a father picks up the baby, our Father in heaven will also pick us up. Vanitzak El Hashem. We should cry out to Hashem. I'm reminded of something I learned, I think it was back in law school many, many, many years ago, which said when you're trying a case, if you don't know the law and you don't really have the facts, bang on the table. And I always wondered, what's that all about? That's the same kind of concept. Sometimes a nonverbal expression gets the job done. The nonverbal expression of crying out to Hashem, not only on Rosh Hashona, but all the time, that's what we have to do. It is said, Shavas Hanim Atasishma. God hears the cry of the poor. The poor meaning those who are poor in their ability to speak, who just have the ability to make an appropriate sound to God and ask God to repeat that, to reply to that. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a wonderful Shabbat. And this coming Saturday night, we start Slichot, the special prayers where we're asking for forgiveness from Hashem. And I wish that all of our prayers be heard every day of our life. Shabbat Shalom.